The Lord wants all his children to partake of the eternal blessings available in his temple. He has directed what each person must do to qualify to enter his holy house. All requirements to enter the temple relate to personal holiness. To assess that readiness, each person who wants to enjoy the blessings of the temple will have 2 interviews. First, with a bishop, bishopric counselor, or branch president. Second, with a stake or mission president or one of his counselors. In those interviews, several questions will be asked. Some of those questions have recently been edited for clarity. I would like to review them for you now. Are you a full tithe payer?
The mandate given by the First Presidency and the presiding bishopric is to only focus on financial growth. EPA employees are told that the money will be used after the second coming of Jesus Christ or during Armageddon right before he would come again.
One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming. For that shall be a day of judgment, a day of sifting, a day of separating the good from the evil. I would venture a personal opinion that no event has occurred in all the history of the earth as dreadful as will be the day of the second coming, as fraught with the destructive forces of nature, as consequential for the nations of the earth, as terrible for the wicked, and as wonderful for the righteous.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. I have a topic discussion request by Carol Yearsley from my Casting Out the Word of Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon by Mormons, in which she wants to suggest that Brigham Young was murdered by one of his one of his wives with arsenic in his tea, taking a week to do him in. She says the official church pronouncement was that he died from appendicitis. Now we can exhume the body and it would be bones. And it's unclear as to whether or not forensic investigation can be done on the bones to determine the cause of death. But there's no sense in speculating, because obviously it was syphilis. Just like Trump. As a result, Rose murdered him. From 2.5 Men, Charlie. Hilarious. So, Mormons are unaware that their Doctrine and Covenants is different from what Joseph Smith wrote it as. In 1981, the church came out with a new edition of the Triple, in which they took out all of the code words from certain sections of the Doctrine and Covenants. Not all of them, certain sections. There are still some code words left in the Doctrine and Covenants, and it's blatantly obvious which ones those are. For example, Section 1, Verse 16. Which church is it, Bruce R. McConkie? Which church? Who represents Babylon? Which church, Bruce? Are you sure you'll know no better then than you know now? Which church? And Mormons therefore get humiliated when they find out that the Community of Christ still has the coded words. In the Wikipedia page, under list of code names in the Doctrine and Covenants, it goes over the history, and it's accurate. There's no church tampering here. They have no problem explaining that this is what it is. They just won't tell you that they didn't get it all. And there's one particular section that is of particular interest to me that stuck right out. Let me read them over for you and see if you can figure out which one I would be particularly interested in. Section 78, Section 82, Section 92, Section 96, Section 103, Section 104, and Section 105. So see if you can figure out which one it is. I didn't help you out at all. I just read the numbers. And so the 1876, which is the one that Brigham Young had published the year before he died, along with carried over into the 1921 of Heber J. Grant, those editions had the original coded names with the real names in parentheses following the code names. And so, yeah, I should be able to confirm if Wikipedia has not been tampered with by the church by going to those actual documents that I obtained from the Joseph Smith Papers and other sources, because the Joseph Smith Papers doesn't have the 1876 and 1921 editions, but I have those. But I'm going to trust them. Why would they lie? Groundhog Day. '78 is Revelation at Hiram, Ohio, March 1832. Well, that's a weird spelling of Hiram. I noticed that when Hiram Smith would be in court, that his name was spelled different. It's wrong. It's spelled like that. Hiram, Ohio. What's up with that? Why would he change the spelling of his name after 1826? Because that was his birth certificate spelling. What happened on 9/11, 1826? I wonder if, out of my thousands of videos, if I ever covered this topic. And so the order given of the Lord to Joseph Smith for the purpose of establishing a storehouse for the poor. I took that out of the video I did yesterday because it was going to be too complicated for you, too wordy to throw in all the scriptures and try to have you understand what it all meant. So we're doing it here in this video. So we're not going to talk about Section 103. We're going to continue on with tithing because that's a pretty big interest of my viewers right now. So we're just going to keep it going. Yes, this is the law of the Lord, the order given of the Lord to Joseph Smith for the purpose of establishing a storehouse for the poor. March 1832. Okay? So let's go to section 119. In the chapter heading, by Bruce R. McConkie. Supposedly, this is by Joseph Smith on July 8th, 1838. far west Missouri. And after the quote, Bruce R. McConkie writes, "The law of tithing, as understood today, had not been given to the church previous, to this revelation." Yeah, and when did this revelation come out? 1844, after Joseph died. Here it is. We found it. The term tithing in the prayer just quoted in the previous revelations had meant not just 1/10, but all. But they're calling it free will offering. It is not a free will offering if it's the law. Bruce, why do you think that Mormons are this stupid? Why, Bruce? Should we talk about you and fence sitting? Maybe we should talk about the nuclear bomb that you claim is the punishment for those who don't pay tithing. And so he says again, the Lord had previously given to the church the law of consecration and stewardship of property, which members, chiefly the leading elders, entered into by a covenant that was to be everlasting. Because of failure on the part of many to abide by this covenant, the Lord withdrew it for a time and gave instead the law of tithing to the whole church. Oh, Bruce, you forgot about the bank. The Kirtland Safety Society. That was not the law of consecration, Bruce. And it was sabotaged by the Danites. Yep. And so, we need to go then to section 64. That President Hinckley was just an apostle, like just an elder. And this date, thank you, Bruce, for putting the actual day in. September 11th, 1831. Do you remember the 2 times 11 is 22 2nd of this September? It's all that botched. Yes, Earth, Wind, and Fire. The 21st night of September. In the Jewish calendar is the 22nd. Nephi, Willard Richards is wrong, it is not Moroni, had come to Joseph Smith in vision, not literal history, 4 times. 2 sets of 4 times on the 22nd. And we did those videos, and I was wearing red. Prophecy fulfilled, section 103. And so we go to he that is tithed, verse 23. Now it is called today, tomorrow it'll be called tomorrow, until it is called today, until the coming of the Son of Man. Oh, section 103. And verily it is a day of sacrifice. You can be a big do. Groundhog Day. And groundhog is a rodent. But, and a day for the tithing of my people. For he that is tithed shall not be burned at his coming. So what passage of Scripture is he referring to? It's in the footnotes. D. Malachi. Joseph Smith is always referring to the Bible. His second vision vision, not literal history, about the man like Moses, precisely as it stands in our New Testament. Check it, I dare you. Does it? Is it? What is the actual word, Joseph? What will happen to Mormons if they don't hearken to their man like Moses, son of man, in the latter days? And thus be proud, wicked, and stubble. You can be a big, big do. And remain in Babylon. Wait a minute, whoa. This wasn't listed in the list of decoded sections. Bruce, what church is the great and abominable church of Babylon? Why didn't you decode it for us? Which church, Bruce? Which church? And there's Newell K. Whitney, the Danite of Adamonte-Ammon, the secret headquarters, spelled wrong. So yes, Malachi. So again, section 119, never given before. Joseph had the law of consecration, but never had it in a law form. 78. Yes, he did. And so this was September 11th, 1831. He's already talking about Malachi. We'll get to it. Hold on. I know you're so excited. And so then, 6 months later, March 1832, boom, here's the law. For the purpose of establishing a storehouse. This is tithing. This is the law, the order given of the Lord. See, Bruce R. McConkie ain't as smart as he thinks he is. Or he's purposely lying to you. I choose the latter. And so, yes, the law of tithing for Joseph's church is Malachi. And it has to do with the day that shall burn as an oven. But Spencer W. Kimball, not Spencer, Gordon B. Hinckley, gets up and says, hey, tithing is fire insurance. It's our protection racket. Pay up or die. You won't be protected in our criminal organization. They're using section 119 over the top of Malachi. And so, yeah, every tithing settlement, until Nelson changed the name of it, and I don't pay tithing anymore, I don't go to church. Bishop said, why do you bother, Travis? If you're gonna preach from the Book of Mormon that goes against the prophets, why are you bothering to come to church? That's why I'm out. I had a hateful woman who justified my wife being a prostitute because I'm a lazy bum. You do not know the historical context. I didn't tell you everything. I was going to school. I had to pay back the grant money or the loan money. And hers too. She stiffed me with her payments. So just because of what the church did to me for what I am now, I therefore am not to blame. The church is. Don't suppose that I've been this way my whole life. And so she assumes, likewise, that my research and study, that Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon and the learning of the Jews are true, was a waste of my time while she was prostituting herself to take care of me. That is sick and twisted Dear God, why didn't YouTube flag you either? It's like they go into the hearing, they do the lip service of, oh, we're so sorry, your kids died. And it's back to normal, and YouTube's even gotten worse since. So much abominable hate comments that are not getting flagged by YouTube. They just don't care. So, Malachi. And they should have put Malachi in here. Of course, we got to get to it, don't we? So let's just go to it. It's in the New Testament, I believe. No, Travis. No. See, chapter 4, for the day cometh that shall burn as an oven. After talking about chapter 3, will a man rob God? Yeah, Nelson robbed it. Because you're not robbing God, you're robbing the poor. And that's what is meant by the storehouse. This is why Joseph Smith is saying, hey, we're practicing tithing for a storehouse for the poor. Because back in those days, everybody had themselves land in which they had their own gardens to produce food for themselves and for the market so that they can sell the food to buy other things that they need that they're unable to have enough time in the day to make. They got to make everything back in those days, unless they can sell stuff for which they can go to a trading post or whatever store they had back then to buy the other things they need. This is how it's done. It's not like today. Today's economy has completely changed as the Industrial Revolution and the Computer Revolution, the office space revolution has changed our society and the roles of husband and wife. So now we have to pay somebody to raise our children. Oh, it's a boy. Here you go, babysitter for life. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, baby. It was nice knowing you. And the woman goes through all that pain and suffering just to give up the baby to have somebody else raise it. Yep, that's our society. Isn't it great? Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse. That's for the poor. And it is an offering, a donation. It is not a forced fixed amount. See, it is a law of God to pay tithing, but it is not required of a certain amount. And so thus the Pharisees and the widow, Pharisees brag about how low of a percentage they have put in, which is far greater than the average person, because it's priestcraft, remember? Pharisees are religious people, and they're bragging about how much tithing they're paying. Where are they getting that money from? Priestcraft. And so thus the temple with the money exchangers, Jesus goes and whips it good. Da-da-da-da-da. Priestcraft. Got to know the context. And so, yeah, the storehouse is a completely different economy. This is where the poor don't have land. They don't have a way to sell stuff at the market. They are beggars for life. And so, instead of providing them with an investment, let's make sure that they're fed fish every single day. The storehouse. The Zion economy, no, you get the investment, not just the fish. That's what the difference is. And so Joseph Smith, likewise, is doing this too, because he involves inheritance for land for the Mormons, who are involved in helping everybody prosper. And so the storehouse is just for the food portion that Joseph is talking about. And so, yes, he also provided land so that people can work the land and thus provide for the storehouse for others who join the church and are poor, and thus help everybody prosper. He was trying to do the Zion pattern. But, yeah, there were some weaknesses in it, which I've already figured out and fixed. So I'm just waiting for Mormons to be righteous. Oh, ain't gonna happen? Oh well. Another great idea that will not ever happen. And you don't understand. I've demonstrated my abilities to improve systems. I saved the church over $1 million. And what thanks did they get for me? Get out of this business. You're fired. They didn't really fire me. They just made life unbearable, threatening me. I can go into a whole story. There's more to it. So don't think that, the church prostituted themselves to take care of you and your cushy lifestyle, Travis. Bleep you. Dear God. She is a housewife. So yes, Beeman Moat. She's a sex slave to her husband, the sealing ceremony. Where she stays at home and her husband takes care of her. Why do people do this? They believe in the beam and the moat parable. They know of it when I say beam and moat. And yet, oh my God, stop, be nice. Is that too hard? So, yeah, that's basically it. This is Joseph Smith's economy. And so section 119 obviously is not just in violation of the Book of Mormon, it's in violation of Joseph Smith. But the church purposely won't footnote it, and they have Bruce R. McConkie put in his own opinion to deceive you, so that you never figure it out. So technically I was going to go on about the different coding, but as you can see, going over the first one, oh, there it is, great, new video. So we still have the coding thing to go over with you. But yeah, I did show you that Babylon was still in there, and they didn't bother with that. And so yeah, that's why you see Jesus in the Doctrine and Covenants by Joseph. He doesn't mean Jesus, it's code. He's doing like the Jews are doing. Oh, the Jews wrote about Jesus too, and about Noah and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Joseph and Moses and Samson and Elijah and Daniel. Well, gotta know the learning of the Jews. So there you go. That was Joseph's economy. The Mormons are going to believe what they're going to believe, and critics are going to believe what they're going to believe, and nobody will believe me, even though I'm the only one who's right.